It's time for another Ask Me Anything video, and today I'm answering a question from a viewer who wants to know what goes through a narcissist's mind when they see you crying and when they caused you to cry. So that's exactly what we're talking about today at queenbeing.com. Let's get started. Closed captioning provided by Athena Moberg and cptsdfoundation.org. My name's Angie Atkinson, and this is Toxic Relationship Rehab, where I help you discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships so that you can take back your life and evolve into the person that you truly want to be. If that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button and we'll get going. So today's question comes from a viewer, and it reads, what goes through the narcissist's mind when the victim cries? I've cried several times in front of my husband. Once he paused for a second and then continued to yell. Another time he called me a crybaby, and another time he laughed at me and videoed me while I was crying. Once he kept asking why I was crying and said that he was the one who should be crying. The common denominator through all of this is that I could tell he loved to see my tears. I would love to hear your thoughts. Well, let's talk about it. So here's an unfortunate fact about narcissists. The happier that you feel around them, the more miserable they tend to get once they're past the love bombing phase. You are dealing with someone who's not a standard human being. They don't have the same kinds of emotions. They most definitely do not have the same kind of empathy as normal people. But hey, on the plus side, the sadder they make you feel, the happier they tend to feel. This is especially true if they can keep you feeling sad or angry or scared when you're not next to them, so as well as when you are with them. So for example, let's say they sabotage your favorite holiday. Maybe they do this by you were planning to go to a big holiday party and suddenly they start a fight with you for no reason. It's drama. You feel completely out of touch with reality at this point because they have completely twisted everything that you said, thought, felt, or did, and now suddenly they're being irrational. You're feeling completely lost, hurt, puzzled, angry, confused. You try to reach out to them, they give you the silent treatment or the victim game. Then you end up showing up to the event alone and everybody asks questions and you're stressed out by this. You end up feeling miserable. You might not even go to the family event and you might just sit by yourself crying because you're too embarrassed to go to the family event. This is exactly what the narcissist wanted. Everyone around you is celebrating and you're sitting there feeling completely miserable. You're lonely, you're upset. This to the narcissist is pure, straight up, delicious narcissistic supply. When a narcissist is alone, what do you think happens? They kind of dry up like a little plant that doesn't get any water. They need supply in order to feel like a human. They need the constant stream of attention. And if they don't get it, they feel like they're almost dying. They know that you're going to be upset. They know that you're going to be angry and hurt. They're well aware that you're going to be thinking about them the whole day. They recognize that this holiday is completely ruined for you and as a result might be ruined for you from here on out. They know you're going to cry. They might even drag their drama out for another day or two or 10. You have to understand that narcissists are different. They think differently. In fact, they're not considered neurotypical by many professionals. How is a narcissist's brain different than everyone else's? We all know that narcissists are seriously lacking in empathy, especially those who would be classified as having NPD or narcissistic personality disorder. Well, that is, if they ever give anyone the chance to diagnose them officially. Side note, they won't do that because they don't feel there's anything wrong with them. But according to my research, people with narcissistic personality disorder do show less gray matter in the left anterior insula, which is the part of the brain that's linked to empathy. The layman's version of that scientific explanation is that those parts of the brain that mediate empathy, which is of course the ability to care about other people's feelings, are lower functioning and therefore less capable of focusing on others. In other words, a narcissist has less gray matter in their brain than someone who is capable of empathy. Researchers say the differences in the narcissist's brains are actually literally causing them to turn inward and self-focus. In a German study, for example, researchers found that the degree to which a person was able to exhibit empathy was directly tied to the amount of gray matter in the brain, both in the healthy individual as well as those with narcissistic personality disorder. And narcissists were typically found to have less gray matter in the brain, according to the study. They have these egos, tiny little fragile egos. I've talked about it before. They're like a little glass egg. They teeter on the end of their finger. Because this little ego is so fragile, it needs to be constantly fed, stroked, constantly built up. But when this doesn't happen, what happens? The narcissist becomes resentful, angry, unhappy with their lives. They find themselves feeling unflattered. They find themselves being criticized. They find themselves being ignored by people who are high in status, or high in status in the narcissist's mind anyway. Someone else is treating them equal to other people. They don't like that. They're not considered the center of attention, or someone doesn't take their advice. Anyone else happens to take the spotlight, or questions a story, or laughs at a joke that isn't theirs, or laughs at something that wasn't supposed to be a joke that the narcissist says. Anything like that makes a narcissist unhappy. But why do you think that is? It's because narcissists get all of their happiness from what? External sources. They need flattery. They need to be good looking or rich or accomplished or to have the best possessions in order to get attention, because they cannot self-validate. Ironically enough, they cannot self-validate, and yet they won't validate you ever, anytime, except maybe during love bombing. So if anything happens to a narcissist to make him or her feel less than amazing, the first thing they're going to do is crumble, and the second thing they're going to do is abuse their primary source of supply. Because the narcissist has no concept of inner satisfaction, of being a decent person, of actual compassion for someone else, they can't imagine anyone else has actual compassion for them.
They don't see you as a whole person, but as an extension of themselves. Their perception of relationships isn't the same as yours or mine. They see relationships sort of like smartphones. Sure, when they first got them, they were new and shiny and fast, and they had new features. But eventually, they slowed down and a newer, faster, better model came out. They quickly upgraded. Maybe they miss a feature or two from the old phone, but in general, they don't dwell on the old phone.
They survive on this narcissistic supply. Look at them like a car, right? So if you put gas in a car, the car runs, yeah? If you don't put gas in the car dies, right? Same deal with a narcissist. The narcissistic supply is the gas. You could consider it food as well. They can't survive without it. Without that fuel, they can't function. But if they can keep you sad, keep you angry, keep you upset, anxious, whatever, the more they can do that, the more fuel they get, the faster they can go. If we're talking about the car example.
By nature, narcissists are extreme in their affections. They're as shallow as they are unstable. During the love bombing phase, narcissists will find you to be highly desirable. Since they're in acquisition mode during the beginning of a relationship, they're always on their best behavior. They're trying to get you hooked. They're trying to win you, and this means that they don't bother looking for anything wrong. They put you up on a pedestal, and they fool both you and themselves. The truth is that part of the reason we don't notice the red flags during that time is because narcissists actually believe what they're saying in that moment. They really think, at least temporarily, that they've found Mr. or Ms. Perfect. You have to remember too that narcissists lack object constancy, and that means that they can only see you as either perfect or totally and completely worthless. There is no in between. Of course, right about the time they get you fully attached, they start to notice little flaws about you. Nothing big, just enough to help them recognize that you are in fact human. But now that they've got you in their clutches, they see you as sort of an object, a trophy, if you will. While the initial days of this phase will feel all too good to be true, you will soon notice that it actually is too good to be true. The idealization or love bombing phase ends abruptly and painfully as you head into the discard phase. This is around the time that they get bored. The narcissist's feelings seem to go from fire to ice. They will suddenly become the most critical person you've ever met. Sure, it'll be subtle at first, maybe a veiled insult here and there, and before you know it, you're the primary target of quietly horrific psychological abuse.
They feel super powerful. You become literally their source of supply. You also become less important in that moment to them, and they stop wanting to spend time with you sometimes.
So where does all of this leave you? Devastated would be an understatement. You won't understand how someone who was just so passionate and hot for you has suddenly decided to freeze you out. But why can they be so cold? What's that all about? Well, here's the awful but simple truth. In this moment, the narcissist doesn't care about you. Sure, they might try to suck you back in at some point, and yeah, this cycle will repeat. But the truth is, it's not you they're coming for. It's the narcissistic supply you offer them. It's not who you are, it's what you can do for them.
This supply might get them through a few weeks before they feel the need to kind of go back to the old love bombing phase to bring you back into their little fold. That way they can keep you around for further emotional drama and abuse as time goes on. For new supply later. Good stuff, right? Painful stuff. When you're feeling bad, the narcissist is feeling excited and good, whether they show you that or not. It's almost like they're on some kind of drug. They're high. They're buzzing with excitement in some ways. They might suddenly become very charismatic. Everybody wants to be around them. They feel amazing. They might even be out hunting for the next source of supply in case they want to dump you or you want to dump them. Of course, they don't see it as a possibility that you would dump them. That's part of their Achilles heel. But we'll get to that in another video. But if I'm you, I would recognize this little secret. Narcissists won't see this because they are incapable of recognizing any faults in themselves most of the time, or any mistakes they might be making. But the mistake the narcissist is making here is that by giving you the silent treatment, they're giving you an opportunity to learn how to live without them. By pushing you away and making you go to holidays by yourself, they're giving you the opportunity to learn to live without them. And each time they do this, that feeling of love, that feeling of connection, for you it gets a little thinner. The string frays a little bit. You'll start making your own plans maybe for the holidays or your birthday. You'll start to realize that, hey, you can have a good time without them. You'll notice that you've been wasting your energy, wasting your time with these people. You don't want to deal with their manipulative games and stupid childish stuff anymore. You can start living and you can start forgetting them. Be aware though, because this is when they're going to come right back around for the Hoover and the love bombing. They'll notice that you're starting to be happy. You're starting to forget them. They're going to want to suck you back in. They're going to want to get your supply again. Understand that just like your car does not love the gas that you put in it, it just needs it to function. The narcissist does not love you the way you deserve to be loved. They just need you for supply. It's painful and it's terrible, but it's true. And I'm sorry. You were right when you said that the common denominator was that you could tell that your narcissists love to watch you cry. Narcissists do love to watch you cry. It gives them that supply that they need. And you, my friend, deserve better. Please don't forget. All right, now this brings me to the question of the day. And the question of the day is, could you relate to this story? Could you relate to what our viewer went through? Could you understand exactly how she felt and how it would feel to watch someone smirk while you're crying? Share your thoughts, share your ideas, share your experiences in the comment section below, and let's talk about it. Thanks to all of my channel members, those people in my inner circle who support me through the YouTube channel membership program. It really does mean a lot to me because you're helping me to continue to help other people every single day. Thank you. It means the world to me. I hope you know you're supporting me in my mission in life, and it just means the world to me. Thank you, sincerely. As always, thank you so much for being a part of my day and a part of my life. And hey, thanks for letting me be a part of yours. It really does mean a lot to me. I'll see you soon.